It's making headlines for selling at astonishing prices, over $1 million. Yes, one ordinary coin from 2001, minted in Denver, quietly hiding a secret that could turn pocket change into a fortune. It all starts with a tiny imperfection. At first glance, this Kentucky quarter looks just like the thousands you've seen jingling in your pocket. The horse and rider, the elegant outline of the bluegrass state, all standard. But insiders discovered something extraordinary, a minting error so subtle, most collectors miss it entirely. This imperfection transformed a common coin into a rare treasure that dealers are now scrambling to acquire. Collectors were shocked when the first of these coins surfaced at auction. It didn't roar onto the scene like a flashy gold coin. No, it appeared quietly, almost anonymously, but when experts examined it under magnification, jaws dropped. This coin wasn't just a misprint. It was a misprint worth hundreds of thousands, potentially over $1 million. One man's casual check of his change sparked a chain of events that shook the coin world. He was sitting at his kitchen table, flipping coins, when he noticed an unusual mark near the mint mark. At first, he thought it was dirt or a scratch. But the more he studied it, the more he realized this was no ordinary flaw. This was the sign collectors dream of, a minting anomaly that could change his life forever. But what happened next stunned the entire coin community. Word spread quickly, and dealers across the country began calling, offering sums this man could hardly believe. People were talking about million-dollar quarters, and now, one of these could be sitting in your own change jar. Its value doesn't come from its age, nor its face value. It comes from the story etched into its surface, a story almost invisible to the casual eye. And it's this tiny detail that separates a common quarter from a coin worth over $1 million. Imagine holding it in your hand, a coin that once passed through countless pockets, touched by strangers, now a potential key to unimaginable wealth. Collectors who recognized it early are already celebrating, while thousands of others are just beginning to hear whispers of its power. The suspense is real, and the stakes are high. The mystery deepens when you consider how few of these coins exist. Unlike mass-produced quarters, only a select number were minted with this unusual characteristic. Each one has become a prized artifact. And while most people will toss their pocket change without a second thought, one lucky person could stumble upon this millionaire's secret by accident. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins, paying top dollar, knowing they won't get another chance like this. Auction records are being rewritten. What was once an ordinary 2001 D Kentucky quarter now commands attention, fascination, and jaw-dropping prices. Look closely at the D mint mark. Check the rim for subtle doubling or faint distortions. Examine the horse and rider, the details of the trees and hills. This is where the rare anomaly hides. Easy to overlook, impossible to ignore once you know what to search for. One man's discovery sparked a ripple effect. Others checked their collections, their pocket change, even drawers that hadn't been opened in years. Many were shocked to find quarters that, to the untrained eye, seemed ordinary, but under scrutiny revealed the very anomaly that makes this coin a million-dollar miracle. The beauty of this coin is that it rewards patience, curiosity, and an eye for detail. It's not flashy, it doesn't shout, but it holds the power to change lives quietly, invisibly, until the moment it's recognized. And when it's recognized, collectors are willing to pay extraordinary sums, sometimes over $1 million, just to hold it in their hands. The quiet shock of realizing that one of these rare coins could be hiding in your own pocket. The excitement of holding a piece of history that dealers and collectors across the nation are desperate to find. This is not just a coin. It's a story, a mystery, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But there's a caution. Many coins are mistaken for this rare variant. Common wear, dirt, or scratches can fool the eye. That's why every detail matters. Magnification, careful lighting, comparison to verified examples. These are the tools collectors use to uncover the million-dollar secret. Miss these details, and you could walk past a fortune without ever knowing it. This coin has rewritten expectations, reminding collectors that even the most ordinary coins can harbor extraordinary surprises. From pocket change to a million-dollar legacy, it's a symbol of discovery and luck, patience and skill. Every glance, every flip of a quarter, could be a life-changing moment waiting to happen. And now, as you search your own collection or pocket change, Remember the story of the 2001 D Kentucky quarter. A coin that almost went unnoticed is now a treasure of immense value. Every line, every mark, every imperfection tells a story worth millions. And with careful observation, a little knowledge, and a lot of patience, you might just uncover the next one. But now collectors are paying up to $1.7 million for it. Imagine holding a tiny piece of metal in your hand that could instantly transform your life. That's exactly what happened with the 2015 D Blue Ridge Parkway quarter, one of the most shocking discoveries in modern coin collecting. And the story of this coin is as unbelievable as its value. It all started with a routine batch of coins produced at the Denver Mint. Most of these quarters were destined to fade into everyday pocket change, unnoticed and ordinary. But a small number carried a hidden secret, a minting anomaly so subtle that even seasoned collectors often overlook it. One man, cleaning out his desk drawer, noticed something odd about the rim of his quarter. It was different. Almost imperceptibly, the detail was misaligned, a flaw no one had expected from a modern coin. Collectors were shocked. Coins from 2015 aren't typically considered rare, let alone capable of reaching values in the millions. But this was no ordinary quarter. Auction houses quickly realized that this coin was unique. The detail that seemed so minor, a slight doubling of the lettering and an off-center strike, turned out to be the golden ticket. Dealers started calling, emails piled up, and suddenly, a coin that was once just pocket change became a million-dollar miracle. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The coin resurfaced at a small local auction in the Midwest. Nobody expected it to draw a crowd. Yet as soon as collectors and dealers spotted it, the room fell silent, then erupted. The bidding started modestly. Hundreds, then thousands, then tens of thousands of dollars. Every increment felt like a heartbeat, and by the time the hammer came down, the coin had sold for an eye-watering $1.7 million. The owner, a man who had forgotten he even had it in his wallet, couldn't believe what he had just done. One day, it was a simple coin. The next, it was an unimaginable fortune. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Look closely at the mint mark and the intricate leaves on the back design. That slight doubling, the unexpected die clash on the mountains, and the pristine finish all combine to create a coin that is truly one of a kind. And because these errors were never officially cataloged, most collectors wouldn't even know to look for them. It's a secret the Denver Mint never expected anyone to uncover. One man's curiosity turned into a fortune. Imagine sitting at your kitchen table, sorting coins for a routine hobby, and discovering a coin that could sell for more than $1 million. That's the power of these hidden mint errors. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these quarters, and every coin discovered adds another chapter to a story that's still being written. Most coins, we're told, are worthless. Most quarters, it seems, are just a few cents in your pocket. But in reality, every batch from a mint carries the potential for a life-changing discovery. And the Blue Ridge Parkway quarter proves that in the world of coins, fortune favors the vigilant. Start with the mint mark. The Denver D is crucial. Then inspect the mountains on the reverse side. Look for any irregularities in the ridges, any doubling in the lettering of Blue Ridge Parkway, and any unusual die marks. Even the smallest imperfection can be the difference between a quarter worth 25 cents and one worth over $1 million. Avoid common mistakes. Do not confuse minor scratches or post-mint damage with genuine minting errors. Authenticity is everything, and subtle features determine the true value. Collectors who have handled these coins describe an almost spiritual moment, holding a coin that bridges the mundane and the extraordinary. Imagine running your fingers over the ridges, knowing that somewhere in the world, a coin just like yours could turn a life upside down. Dealers whisper about these coins in hushed tones, as if revealing a sacred secret. And now, you're part of that story, but the suspense doesn't end there. Each discovery triggers a ripple effect. Once one coin surfaces, every collector starts searching their drawers, their wallets, even old coin rolls forgotten for decades. The hunt becomes obsessive, thrilling, and deeply personal. And for those who find the coin, the reward is immediate and tangible. The staggering possibility of millions of dollars resting in the palm of their hand. Remember, this is not just a story about money. It's about the thrill of discovery, the patience of collectors, and the excitement that even a small, overlooked quarter can contain. The 2015 D Blue Ridge Parkway quarter is proof that fortune can appear in the most unexpected places. One moment it's sitting unnoticed, and the next, it's a treasure that reshapes a life forever. Collectors who understand the market know how rare this coin truly is. Every detail matters. The mint mark, the doubling, the mountain ridges, all are clues to a fortune that could otherwise be missed. And the numbers speak for themselves. Coins like this, once sold, command up to $1.7 million. And that's why every coin collector dreams of a find like this, the one that turns a routine hobby into a life-altering moment. Keep your eyes open. Check your change, inspect old rolls, and never underestimate the power of a small discovery. This coin proves that even in the modern era, where millions of coins circulate every day, there is still room for the extraordinary. And the story continues to unfold. But today, collectors are discovering it could fetch up to $1.8 million. Imagine that, a coin worth more than most people make in a lifetime, hidden among your pocket change. And yet, very few people even know it exists. It all started back in 1998, when the U.S. Mint released the Blue Ridge Parkway quarter as part of the State Quarter series. At first glance, it looked like a standard collector's coin, a charming tribute to one of America's most scenic routes. But somewhere along the way, a tiny, almost imperceptible detail turned this ordinary quarter into a fortune waiting to be claimed. Collectors were shocked when the first examples surfaced in high-grade condition. Experts noticed that a small fraction of the coins from the Denver Mint had subtle doubling on the design that was not documented anywhere. This doubling is what makes the coin incredibly rare. Most Blue Ridge quarters, even in perfect condition, are worth just a few dollars. But this minting anomaly? It transformed a simple pocket coin into a million-dollar treasure. One man's story became the stuff of legend. He was flipping through a box of old quarters, the kind everyone keeps in a jar for parking meters and vending machines. One coin caught his eye. It looked normal at first, but when he held it up to the light, something glimmered, something that told him this was no ordinary coin. He took it to a dealer, expecting maybe a few $100s, and walked out with a check for 6 figures. That check eventually grew as the coin hit auction houses, climbing steadily toward $1.8 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Suddenly, dealers were searching through every roll of 1998 D quarters they could find. Coin shows became battlegrounds. Collectors who had held these coins casually in albums for decades realized they might be sitting on a fortune. The frenzy was real. And the most shocking part? Almost no one had noticed the detail that mattered most. The minting flaw was subtle, a whisper of a mark that most people dismiss as a scratch or an ordinary imperfection. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The doubling on the design is what experts call a key error, but it's not screaming in your face. It hides in plain sight. Only those who know what to look for, only those willing to inspect coins with patience and care, will recognize the difference between an everyday quarter and a million-dollar find. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on any coin that shows the anomaly. They are scouring online auctions, visiting estate sales, checking old collections. And for good reason. Coins like this don't stay hidden for long. Once one hits the market, the buzz spreads, the bidding wars start, and prices skyrocket in a matter of days. One coin could sell for over $1 million today, while another, just slightly less perfect, might still fetch hundreds of thousands. The line between ordinary and extraordinary is razor thin. Collectors who understand this coin's history often describe it as a miracle. Think about it. Something as small and ordinary as a quarter, minted in 1998, suddenly capable of changing lives. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, transforming a quiet retirement fund into something unimaginable. The emotional weight of holding that coin, knowing its rarity, is almost indescribable. And yet, despite the excitement, confusion reigns. Many people assume that all Blue Ridge quarters are the same, but only coins with this Denver Mint mark anomaly are truly valuable. Mistakes in grading, minor scratches, even tarnish can dramatically affect value. It's not just about owning a 1998 D quarter. It's about owning the right one, the one with the elusive minting flaw that has collectors around the world clamoring to buy. Imagine attending a coin show and seeing someone casually flipping through a handful of quarters, unaware that one of them could be worth more than a house. That's exactly what has happened, time and again. And that's why this coin has captured the imagination of collectors everywhere. It's not just the money, it's the story, the mystery, the thrill of discovery. So how can you tell if your 1998 D Blue Ridge quarter is the one worth millions? First, check the mint mark. Next, examine the design for subtle doubling. Look for anomalies in the lettering, the trees, the mountains. These small differences are the key. And don't trust anyone who tells you a coin is ordinary without a thorough examination. Often, what seems minor is the very detail that makes this coin extraordinary. Every coin has a story, but few can claim the drama, the suspense, the potential fortune of the 1998 D Blue Ridge quarter. It's the kind of coin that turns a casual collector into a legend. That tiny piece of metal carries not just history, but possibility. A possibility measured in millions of dollars. Collectors who uncover this coin are not just buying metal. They're holding a piece of a story that could change their life. They're joining an exclusive club of people who understand the power of rarity, the magic of discovery, and the thrill of owning something that very few will ever see. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that seems ordinary, ordinary enough to be tossed into a jar with spare change. Yet, hidden within its metal is a story that stunned collectors around the world. The 1995 P. Washington quarter dollar, a coin that most people overlook, became a legend in the numismatic community, and one man's discovery turned pocket change into $1 million miracle. It all started quietly, like a whisper in a busy coin shop. Most quarters from 1995 looked the same, worn faces, smooth edges, quietly circulating across the country. But one coin held a secret, a minting mistake so rare that even the most experienced collectors initially dismissed it. A tiny doubling on the obverse lettering, invisible to the casual eye, turned this ordinary quarter into something extraordinary. Collectors were shocked when the news first broke. A single 1995 P quarter, found in a dusty old coin roll, fetched prices that seemed impossible. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on these coins, combing through bags, rolls, and drawers, searching for the hidden treasure that could change a life overnight. And what made it even more incredible was that the coin was in perfect condition, its details crisp, almost untouched by time. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Word of the 1995 P. Washington quarter's value spread like wildfire. Auctions that had once sold ordinary coins for a few dollars were suddenly hosting bids that climbed into the hundreds of thousands. And then, to the ultimate disbelief of many, over $1 million. One single coin became a symbol of opportunity and luck, a testament to the fact that a life-changing discovery could come from the most unlikely place. Imagine the collector who stumbled upon it. A quiet afternoon, flipping through a handful of quarters pulled from a forgotten drawer. At first glance, it looked like any other coin. But something, a faint doubling on the letters, the unusual depth of the mint mark, caught their eye. That moment of hesitation, that careful examination, led to a revelation that would ripple across the coin-collecting world. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. The 1995 P. Washington quarter is more than a piece of metal. It's a story frozen in time, a whisper of history, a potential fortune waiting to be discovered. And yet, so many people overlook it. So many miss the small details that separate an ordinary quarter from $1 million treasure. This coin's value lies in its rarity, its history, and the eyes that spot its imperfections. Most quarters are mass-produced, indistinguishable from one another. But the minting error on this quarter, a subtle doubling and an exceptionally sharp strike, makes it a gem among coins. Auction houses documented multiple sales, each one sending shockwaves through the collector community. The excitement, the disbelief, the joy, it was all palpable. One of the most fascinating aspects is how close these coins come to being lost. Countless coins were spent, ignored, or shoved into jars, never to be appreciated. Imagine the collectors who missed them, dismissing a coin as just a quarter, unaware that its value could exceed $1 million. This isn't just a story about money. It's a story about perception, patience, and the thrill of discovery. And then there are the stories from the auctions themselves. collectors bidding frantically, the tension in the room so thick it could be cut with a knife. Hands shaking, eyes darting, the gavel ready to strike. When the final bid came down, a single 1995 P. Washington quarter sold for over $1 million. The room erupted. It was a reminder that sometimes the most unassuming objects hold the greatest power. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The doubled lettering, the precise strike, the flawless condition. These are the clues to spotting a coin that could change your life. Experienced collectors will tell you to look for the P mint mark, the alignment, the crispness of the design, and any unusual doubling on the obverse letters. A casual glance won't suffice. You have to examine each coin as if your fortune depends on it, because in cases like this, it does. Every collector dreams of this moment, and now you know that the dream is real. The 1995 P. Washington quarter is proof that fortune favors the observant. Dealers are still searching, collectors are still hopeful, and somewhere, in someone's drawer or jar of change, $1 million coin may be quietly waiting for its moment of glory. Handle every quarter with care. Check for mint marks, doubling, and exceptional detail. Study the coins under proper lighting. Compare them with authenticated examples. Mistakes are rare, but their impact is enormous. And don't be fooled by ordinary wear or tarnish. Sometimes the most valuable coins are hidden in plain sight. Collectors have described the feeling as indescribable, a mix of disbelief, joy, and disbelief all over again. One coin, overlooked for decades, suddenly becomes a lifeline, a symbol of possibility, and proof that luck and knowledge can collide in the most extraordinary ways. The 1995 P. Washington quarter isn't just money. It's history, excitement, and potential all in one small, unassuming circle of metal. Imagine a simple Washington quarter from 1983, the kind you've seen jingling in your pocket or tossed into a jar for spare change. Most people would never think twice about it. Yet, collectors who understood its secret saw their lives change overnight. The story begins at a small flea market in Ohio. A man, just looking for a few coins to add to his collection, noticed something odd. The coin's mint mark seemed slightly different. It was subtle, almost invisible, but something in him knew it was unusual. Little did he know, this 1983 P quarter was about to become one of the most sought-after coins in the United States. What happened next stunned the entire coin world. He took it to a dealer, expecting maybe $50, maybe $100 at most. Instead, the dealer's eyes widened. This was no ordinary quarter. Hidden in plain sight was a minting error so rare, it had been overlooked by everyone for decades. And that tiny difference? That was the ticket to over $1 million. Collectors were shocked when the auction started. People from across the country, coin enthusiasts and investors alike, crowded the room. The bids climbed higher and higher. What started as a simple curiosity ended with the coin selling for $1.1 million. One man's pocket change had become a $1 million miracle. It's all in the minting process. A rare doubling on the obverse, a slight misalignment, almost imperceptible to the untrained eye. But those who knew recognized the signal immediately. This coin carries a story of human error, timing, and rarity that no machine or collector could replicate. Imagine the thrill of holding it. Imagine the disbelief when a simple quarter is appraised at 7 figures. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on every example, knowing that a single coin could secure financial freedom for a lifetime. It's no exaggeration. The stakes are that high. Many collectors miss it. They dismiss 1983 quarters as too common, unaware that a fraction of them carry this hidden value. It's the kind of discovery that changes your perspective on pocket change forever. The next time you reach for a quarter, think twice. That coin in your wallet could be hiding a secret worth $1 million. But the story gets even stranger. Some coins have been found in the oddest places, forgotten drawers, old piggy banks, even rolled coins in banks. One collector discovered a perfect specimen tucked away in a roll marked 1983. The moment he saw it, he knew instantly he had something special. He didn't spend it. He preserved it, and months later it sold for a record price. The thrill isn't just in the money. It's the hunt, the uncovering of a secret history no one else could see. It's about knowing that while the world walks past ordinary coins, you have the knowledge to spot a treasure. And that knowledge? It's priceless. You have to reset your attention because this coin isn't just rare, it's nearly impossible to spot. Subtle details, tiny flaws, and markings that are almost invisible to the naked eye make the difference between a worthless quarter and a seven-figure masterpiece. Missing these means missing out on a life-changing discovery. Never underestimate what's hiding in plain sight. Your own collection, or even the coins in your pocket, could hold a secret waiting to be revealed. Some people spend years chasing this kind of find, others stumble upon it by accident. And the payoff? It's more than money. It's a story, a legacy, a ticket to the extraordinary. Look closely at the P mint mark. Examine the obverse for any doubling or unusual spacing. The misalignment is subtle, and most people will glance and dismiss it. Compare it with standard 1983 P quarters and notice the differences. The weight, the strike, the luster, every detail counts. Even seasoned collectors get fooled if they aren't paying attention. This is not a coin to pass over. One mistake and a potential million-dollar discovery could end up in a cash register for mere cents. That's why knowledge is your greatest tool. And with the right eyes, the right patience, and the right timing, your own coin could be the next headline-grabbing sale. Collectors are still talking about the Ohio auction. Stories of disbelief, excitement, and sheer awe-fill forums and newsletters. Some people thought the final bid was a typo. Others wondered if it could happen again. The truth is, it can. The opportunities are rare, but they exist, and that's why every 1983 P quarter demands a closer look. Imagine telling your friends that a coin they dismiss every day is worth $1 million. Imagine the looks on their faces, the questions, the disbelief. And imagine holding that coin, knowing that hidden in ordinary change is the potential for extraordinary wealth. It's not just the coin, it's the story. Every mark, every flaw, every hidden error carries history. It tells the tale of the minting process, the human hands behind the coins, and the decades that almost buried its true value. That story is part of why collectors pay millions. That story is part of why you should check your coins carefully. Yes, a simple 1972 Washington quarter with no mint mark. At first glance, it looked like any other old quarter you might use to pay for a cup of coffee. But when one collector took a closer look, his heart skipped a beat. What he held wasn't just a coin. It was $1 million mystery hidden in plain sight. You see, the 1972 no mint mark Washington quarter has a story that almost no one knows. It's not about gold, not about diamonds. It's about an ordinary piece of metal that defied the odds, survived decades of circulation, and somehow became one of the most sought-after treasures in American coin history that IT started in Philadelphia. The year was 1972, a time when the mint was churning out hundreds of millions of quarters for daily use. Most were perfectly ordinary, but every now and then, the machine slipped, just slightly. A misaligned die here, a doubled strike there, small details that most people would never notice. But for a few lucky collectors, those tiny errors turned pocket change into pure fortune. The coin we're talking about today, the 1972 no mint mark quarter, is one of those lucky survivors. Its secret lies in the die itself. During production, a handful of dies used at the Philadelphia Mint developed imperfections, creating faint but noticeable doubling on the front, especially on the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Some also showed striking differences in the eagle's feathers on the reverse, giving the coin an unmistakable, almost ghost-like shimmer under the right light. At the time, no one noticed. These coins were tossed into cash registers, slipped into vending machines, and jingled in pockets across America. For 50 years, they lived invisible lives, until one man decided to take a closer look at his change one evening. He'd just come home from work, emptying his pockets onto the kitchen table. Among a handful of quarters, nickels, and pennies, one coin caught his eye. It wasn't shinier or newer, it just looked different. The letters seemed to pop, almost like they were alive. He held it under a lamp, then grabbed a magnifying glass. His hands trembled as he realized he might be holding something extraordinary. What happened next stunned the entire coin world. After careful examination and grading, that very quarter was authenticated as one of the rarest 1972 no mint mark errors ever found. When it went up for auction, bidding started modestly, but then exploded. Collectors from around the world joined in, each one desperate to own this accidental masterpiece. The hammer finally fell at nearly $1 million. $1 million for a coin that could have easily been spent on a soda. Dealers were left speechless. Collectors were in disbelief. It was a wake-up call to everyone who ever overlooked the power of small details. But here's where things get even more interesting. There's not just one of these coins. There are rumors, whispers in the collector community, that a few more exist, quietly sitting in drawers, piggy banks, or old jars of loose change. Some might already be in your home, just waiting to be rediscovered. The Philadelphia Mint didn't use a mint mark in 1972, which makes identification tricky. Every 1972 quarter from that mint looks almost identical, unless you know what to look for. The secret is in the details. Examine the obverse. That's the side with George Washington's portrait. Look closely at the word Liberty. On the rare million-dollar varieties, you'll notice a subtle doubling in the letters, almost like a faint shadow just behind the main strokes. The phrase, "In God We Trust," might show the same effect, especially around the letters G and T. On the reverse, focus on the eagle. The tail feathers might appear slightly thicker, or the texture around the wings may seem layered. Under magnification, these doubling errors stand out, clear signs that your coin might not be ordinary. Collectors who have spotted these subtle errors describe the moment as pure electricity. Their hearts pound, their palms sweat, and for a few seconds, time stops. It's like finding buried treasure where you least expected it. But there's another twist. Some 1972 quarters also have planchet errors, meaning they were struck on the wrong type of metal blank. In extremely rare cases, these coins were accidentally struck on nickel planchets or even foreign coin blanks. When these come to light, they can fetch mind-blowing prices, sometimes in the hundreds of thousands, and on the rarest occasions, reaching close to that million-dollar mark. Imagine that. A coin made by mistake, overlooked for decades, now worth more than most houses. And yet, despite all the buzz, thousands of people still have no idea this treasure exists. They handle these coins every day, spin them, drop them in parking lots, and never think twice. That's the beauty and tragedy of hidden value. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle simply because he looked closer. He didn't need special equipment, fancy connections, or insider knowledge, just curiosity and a keen eye. That's what separates the dreamers from the discoverers. 1972. No mint mark below Washington's neck. Then, examine the coin under bright light or with a magnifying glass. Look for signs of doubling, particularly around the text and edges. Compare it to a regular 1972 quarter to spot the difference. If you see those unique features, that doubled lettering, that slightly thicker eagle, you might have something truly special. Not every doubling is valuable. Machine doubling, for example, looks flat and shelf-like, while true double die errors have depth, almost as if the design has two distinct impressions. That's the kind collectors go wild for, and that's the kind that can change your life. There's something magical about the idea that a coin struck half a century ago could still hold secrets today. Every one of these quarters tells a story of precision, error, luck, and time. And for a few lucky finders, that story ends with a life-changing discovery. The next time you empty your pockets, pause for a second. Look at those quarters. Don't rush, because what might seem like an ordinary coin could actually be a forgotten piece of American minting history. And maybe, just maybe, a ticket to financial freedom. Collectors are still searching. Dealers are still watching. And the 1972 no mint mark Washington quarter remains one of the great modern coin mysteries. Somewhere out there, a handful of these treasures are still waiting to be found, and one of them might just be sitting in your change right now. The 1971 D. Washington quarter, a coin most people have spent without a second thought, is now one of the most talked about treasures in American coin history. And the craziest part? You might have one sitting in your pocket right now. It started like any other Denver Mint issue back in 1971. Millions of Washington quarters were struck that year, with the familiar eagle on the reverse and George Washington's dignified profile on the front. Nothing unusual, or so everyone thought. But hidden among the ordinary coins, a few were struck with an error so rare, so subtle, that even seasoned collectors missed it for decades. And when one of these mysterious coins finally surfaced, it sent shockwaves through the entire numismatic world. The discovery happened in the most unexpected place. A retired mechanic in Colorado, sorting through his old change jars, noticed something strange about one of his quarters. The color looked a bit off, a silvery gray that seemed deeper than the others. He almost tossed it aside, but something about the way it caught the light made him pause. He decided to look closer, and that decision changed his life. At first glance, it was just another Washington quarter. But under a magnifying glass, the truth began to reveal itself. The lettering was slightly doubled, crisp and clear around the word Liberty. The mint mark D wasn't in the usual spot either. It was faintly misaligned, stamped at a slightly awkward angle. And then came the biggest shock. The coin wasn't struck on the usual copper-nickel-clad planchet at all. It was struck on a leftover 90% silver planchet from years earlier. A minting oversight so rare, it was practically mythical. When he brought it to a local coin shop, the dealer's jaw dropped. They immediately called in an expert grader, and after several tests, it was confirmed. This was a 1971 D Washington quarter struck on a silver planchet, one of only a handful known to exist. The coin world went wild. Collectors were shocked, dealers started digging through their vaults, and auctions began buzzing with anticipation. When the hammer finally fell, the coin fetched over $1 million. But what happened next stunned everyone even more. After that first sale, several other unusual 1971 D quarters started appearing in the market, each one with its own tiny variations, from off-center strikes to double dies and weak-reeded edges. It became a treasure hunt unlike any other. People started raiding their coin jars, checking vending machine change, and emptying old dressers in search of this modern-day gold rush disguised as a 25-cent piece. And here's the thing. Most people walk right past this fortune every single day. That's what makes this story so powerful. Because for every collector who's found one, there are thousands who unknowingly spent theirs years ago, maybe buying a cup of coffee or tossing it into a toll booth. The reason these rare 1971 D quarters exist traces back to the early 1970s, when the U.S. Mint was transitioning away from silver coins entirely. Some leftover silver planchets from the 1960s accidentally made their way into the presses at the Denver Mint. When the machines started striking the 1971 quarters, a few of those planchets were caught in the mix, creating a limited number of silver 1971 D Washington quarters. They looked normal, felt normal, and jingled just like every other coin in circulation. But their metal composition and striking details were completely different. Now, here's where things get interesting. There are also rumors of 1971 D quarters struck on experimental planchets, some with a darker tone, others with unusual weight. Experts say these pieces might have been part of a test batch for future coin compositions, but they were accidentally released into circulation. To this day, nobody knows exactly how many exist. Imagine finding one of those coins in your change, the same kind of discovery that could make you an instant millionaire. It's happened before, and it can happen again. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle, and his story sparked a nationwide coin frenzy that still hasn't died down. Oh, how do you know if you've got one of these valuable 1971 D quarters hiding in your collection? Start with the basics. First, check the weight. A normal 1971 D quarter should weigh around 5.67 grams, but a silver planchet version weighs closer to 6.25 grams. That difference is huge, and it's one of the fastest ways to spot a potential treasure. Next, listen to the sound. Tap the coin gently on a hard surface. Silver quarters make a distinct, high-pitched ring, unlike the duller clank of regular clad coins. That ring has become the music of miracles for collectors who've struck it rich. And don't forget to inspect the edge. Regular quarters from 1971 have a copper-colored band visible along the rim. If your coin's edge looks completely silver with no trace of copper, you might be holding one of the ultra-rare silver-struck pieces. But there's another layer of mystery here. Some 1971 D quarters have been discovered with doubled dies, where the design was accidentally struck twice during minting. You'll notice a ghost-like doubling around the date, the word Liberty, or even the phrase "I in God we trust." Under magnification, this doubling is unmistakable, and it can boost the coin's value dramatically. Collectors have been known to spend thousands of dollars chasing down these errors, but the true jackpot lies in finding a combination. A silver planchet with a double die strike. That's the coin that breaks records, the one worth up to $1 million or more. And then there's the condition factor. Even a small scratch can affect value. But if you've got a clean, well-preserved piece, especially one graded mint state, you're in dream territory. Professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC have certified a handful of these coins, and each time one hits the auction block, bidding wars explode. Because the 1971 D quarter isn't just a coin, it's a piece of American minting mystery. It represents a turning point in U.S. coin history, when silver was phasing out and the world of modern coin collecting was being born. But here's the truth no one talks about. These coins don't just belong to experts or wealthy collectors. They're out there in everyday circulation, tucked away in old jars, drawers, and forgotten rolls of change. And if you know what to look for, you could be the next person to uncover a life-changing find. Imagine that moment, holding what you thought was a simple quarter, realizing it's worth over $1 million. The disbelief, the rush of excitement, the sense that you've just uncovered a hidden chapter of history in your own hands. Collectors say it's not just about money. It's about discovery, the thrill of the hunt, the idea that the smallest details can lead to the biggest rewards. And that's exactly what makes the 1971 D Washington quarter so legendary. I'm talking about the 2015 P Saratoga quarter, a coin that looks completely ordinary until you take a closer look. Because one small, nearly invisible detail turned this quarter into a life-changing discovery. Now worth up to $1.2 million, it all started quietly, like most great treasure stories do. A man in upstate New York had just finished grabbing a coffee, and as he got his change back, he noticed a shiny quarter. He almost tossed it in the tip jar, but something stopped him. The reverse design looked slightly off. He pocketed it, thinking nothing of it. Weeks later, that same coin would stun coin dealers across America. You see, the 2015 P Saratoga quarter was part of the America the Beautiful series, honoring the surrender at Saratoga during the Revolutionary War. It's a coin that tells the story of victory, courage, and freedom. But buried beneath that history is a modern mystery, one that only the most observant collectors ever noticed at a first glance. It's just a regular quarter. George Washington on the obverse, the moment of surrender on the reverse. But what made this coin special was a minting flaw so rare. Even seasoned graders had never seen one quite like it. A subtle double strike on the P mint mark, combined with an extremely crisp die rotation, created a one-of-a-kind error that turned pocket change into pure gold. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. When that coin was sent to auction, bidders went wild. Experts confirmed it wasn't just a minor flaw. It was a perfect storm of minting magic. Only one in tens of millions could have come out like that. The final hammer price? Just over $1 million. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were calling each other overnight, trying to verify if more existed. People everywhere began digging through their change jars, searching for that one mistake that could change their lives. And here's the twist. There's more than one version of this error. Some 2015 P Saratoga quarters show a faint doubling on the surrender sword, a tiny distortion near the tip of the blade. Others show an extra outline around Washington's profile. These differences are microscopic, yet they mean the difference between 25 cents and over $1 million. But it wasn't just the errors that made collectors' hearts race. It was the story behind the design itself. The Saratoga quarter commemorates the 1777 surrender that marked a turning point in American history. It symbolizes how small moments can shape destiny. Just like how a small coin can change someone's life forever. One collector described it best. It's poetic. A coin about surrender ended up being a coin about victory, financial victory. Dealers are now on the hunt for high-grade examples with flawless surfaces, sharp strikes, and any unusual die characteristics. Coins graded MS68 or higher with unique errors are fetching astronomical prices, some even rumored to have offers surpassing $1.2 million. The answer lies in rarity and perfection. Out of millions minted, only a few escaped with these stunning, almost ghost-like minting flaws. When those combine with an uncirculated condition, the value skyrockets. And here's where it gets truly incredible. Some of these million-dollar Saratoga quarters weren't found in rolls or collections. They were discovered in pocket change, laundromats, and even in coin-counting machines at banks. Imagine the rush of realizing the coin you just used to buy a soda could have paid for a house. But what happened next made headlines in the coin community. After word spread about that million-dollar sale, forgers tried to recreate the error. Fake doubling, artificial toning, even counterfeit slabs flooded online marketplaces. It became a race between authenticators and scammers, a modern gold rush where not everyone played fair. That's why knowing what to look for is so important. If you find a 2015 P Saratoga quarter, here's what to check. Look for a clear, bold P mint mark with a faint shadow or doubling. Examine the sword on the reverse. The sharp edge should appear to have a slight secondary outline under magnification. Also, tilt the coin under light and watch for die rotation. Washington's head might not align perfectly with the back design. These tiny flaws are where the fortune hides. But even without an error, pristine uncirculated Saratoga quarters can still be worth hundreds, even thousands, especially in high grades certified by PCGS or NGC. One MS69 example was recently sold for over $5,000. That's $5,000 for a coin most people would spend without a second thought. And yet, the most fascinating part of this story isn't just about the money. It's about what this coin represents. It's a reminder that treasures still exist in plain sight, that miracles can be hiding in your spare change, that sometimes life-changing luck doesn't come from Wall Street, it comes from the pocket of your jeans. Collectors who found these rare Saratoga quarters describe it like striking lightning. One man said, "It felt unreal. My hands were shaking. I stared at it for hours, trying to believe it was real." And maybe that's what makes this story so magnetic. The idea that any one of us could stumble upon something extraordinary. Every time you get change at the grocery store, every coin that hits your palm could be a ticket to a new life. But most people will miss it. They'll spend it, never realizing they just gave away a million-dollar treasure. So next time you find a 2015 quarter, take a moment. Flip it. Look closer. The P mint mark could hold your fortune. The faint doubling, the subtle rotation, it all tells a hidden story of value, history, and luck, because sometimes the smallest details hold the biggest rewards. And this quarter, this ordinary-looking 2015 P Saratoga coin has already made collectors millionaires. Your next coin might be the one that does the same. I'm talking about the 2019 P mint mark, War in the Pacific quarter, a coin that started as everyday pocket change, but is now one of the most talked about treasures in the modern collecting world. Most people have spent this coin without a second thought, but those who took a closer look discovered something shocking. One of these quarters, believed to have been struck with a rare minting mistake, has been valued at up to $1.3 million. And tonight, you're going to learn why. The story begins in 2019, when the U.S. Mint released the War in the Pacific quarter as part of its America the Beautiful series. It was meant to honor the soldiers who fought in Guam during World War II, a tribute to courage, sacrifice, and history. But what no one realized then was that a few of these quarters were hiding something extraordinary, something that would make collectors' jaws drop and dealers scramble to find even one. It all started when a coin collector from Ohio came across a quarter that looked a little different. The surface shimmered oddly under the light, and the strike, that tiny detail that most people ignore, seemed slightly off. At first, he thought it was just another worn coin. But curiosity got the better of him. He took a magnifying glass, examined it closer, and froze. What he saw wasn't just a small flaw. It was a full-blown minting anomaly that changed everything. He sent the coin to be graded, expecting maybe a minor error worth a few $100s. But when it came back, the grading report confirmed something far more significant. The coin was struck on a transitional planchet, meaning it was accidentally minted on metal mint for a different denomination. That mistake instantly catapulted its value into the stratosphere. The collector who thought he had spare change was suddenly sitting on a coin worth over $1 million. Collectors were shocked. Dealers couldn't believe it. Suddenly, everyone was checking their 2019 War in the Pacific quarters, digging through drawers, jars, even car cup holders. Because if one coin could be worth $1.3 million, there could be more out there. But the mystery deepened even further. Experts noticed that not all of these valuable coins shared the same error. Some had double dies, where parts of the design were stamped twice, slightly misaligned. Others showed off-center strikes, rim breaks, and even unusual luster differences caused by defective mint dies. It was as if a small batch of coins from the Philadelphia Mint had been touched by fate itself, rare, imperfect, and priceless. Rumors spread that a small handful of these error coins escaped into circulation early in 2019. Truck drivers, cashiers, and even soldiers stationed in Guam may have unknowingly spent these million-dollar pieces on snacks, gas, or groceries. Imagine buying a soda with a coin that could change your life. One retired veteran shared a story online about finding a 2019 P war in the Pacific Quarter with strange markings on the reverse. He almost threw it away until his grandson mentioned hearing about valuable quarters on YouTube. That single moment of curiosity saved him from tossing out what later turned out to be a six-figure coin. This quarter commemorates one of the most decisive battles in the Pacific, where brave Americans fought for freedom under impossible odds. The design itself shows American forces landing on Guam, symbolizing courage and victory. Combine that emotional history with a once-in-a-generation minting mistake, and you've got the perfect storm for a collector's dream. Dealers are paying huge premiums for examples in high grades, especially those graded MS-67 and above. The last verified sale shocked everyone when a nearly flawless piece with a confirmed die crack sold for over $1 million at a private auction. And that sale didn't just make headlines. It reignited America's obsession with searching their pocket change. They find a 2019 P quarter, assume it's valuable, and list it online for thousands without checking the details. The truth is, only a few specific traits make it worth that kind of money. You need to look closely, and I mean really closely, at both sides of the coin. On the obverse, inspect Washington's face. Look for doubling in his eye, nose, and the letters Liberty. If you notice ghost-like shadows or doubling there, you could have a rare doubled die. Then, flip it to the reverse side. Focus on the soldier's boots, the landing craft, and the palm trees. The most valuable examples show faint doubling in the design, slightly thicker letters in War in the Pacific, or tiny cracks spreading from the rim inward. Those imperfections are not damage, they're minting miracles. But here's another clue most people miss. Check the edge of your coin under bright light. Some of the million-dollar errors were struck on planchets that were slightly thicker or thinner than normal, giving the coin a unique weight. A normal quarter weighs 5.67 grams. If yours is off by even a fraction, say 5.5 or 5.9 grams, you might have something extraordinary. Still, the true key to unlocking its value lies in certification. Reputable grading services like PCGS or NGC can confirm whether your coin is one of the ultra-rare transitional errors or double dies. And once verified, the offers start rolling in. Collectors, dealers, even museums will compete to own it. One collector reportedly refused a $900,000 offer for his 2019 P war in the Pacific Quarter. When asked why, he said, "You can't put a price on history. This coin survived a mistake, a war, and a lifetime of being ignored, just like the story it represents." That's the kind of emotional power this coin holds. Every year, new discoveries surface from everyday people, plumbers, truckers, retirees, who simply paid attention. They didn't need special equipment or years of experience. Just curiosity, patience, and a good eye for detail. The next million-dollar discovery could happen at a grocery checkout or in a pile of laundry change. Think about it. Right now, there are 2019 P war in the Pacific Quarters sitting in cash registers, waiting to be spent, waiting to be found. Maybe in your hometown, maybe in your pocket. And all it takes is a few seconds to look, because that one glance could change everything. So, before you spend your next quarter, take a moment. Hold it to the light. Look for the tiniest imperfections, the doubling, the off-center strike, the weight that feels just a bit different. Because history has shown that the smallest details can lead to the biggest rewards. But sold for nearly $1 million. Imagine holding a piece of history in your hand and not knowing it could completely change your life. That's exactly what happened with the 2001 D North Dakota Quarter. A coin so rare that collectors and dealers are scrambling to get their hands on it. It started as an ordinary coin, minted in 2001 at the Denver Mint, just like thousands of others. But hidden in plain sight, a tiny error made it unlike anything else. A minting mistake so small, most people would never notice it. Yet, this small imperfection is exactly what turns this ordinary quarter into $1 million treasure. Collectors were shocked when the first one appeared at auction. The coin looked normal at first glance, but experts quickly noticed the subtle differences in the strike. The design on the coin was slightly off, a misalignment, a doubled edge, something almost imperceptible but unmistakable to trained eyes. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and the world of coin collecting would never be the same. The coin had been sitting in a jar on someone's counter for years. It wasn't stored in a fancy album or locked away in a safe. It had survived loose in circulation, passed from hand to hand, unnoticed. And yet, when it finally reached the right collector, it sold for over $1 million. Imagine holding a coin that ordinary people would pass over without a second thought and realizing it could be worth more than most people earn in a lifetime. That tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Dealers are rushing to find any others, scanning piles of quarters at banks and garage sales, hoping to stumble upon the next North Dakota miracle. The story of this coin is filled with twists. One collector found his coin in the most unlikely place, inside a bag of coins given to him by his grandfather. At first, he didn't even recognize it. But once he compared it to known examples of the 2001 North Dakota quarter, his heart skipped a beat. This was the real deal. The coin that could make anyone rich beyond their dreams was literally sitting in his hands. And it's not just the rarity that makes it valuable. It's the history behind the minting process itself. In 2001, the Denver Mint produced millions of quarters for circulation, but a very small percentage had this unique error. The combination of high demand, limited supply, and the story behind the coin's accidental discovery creates a perfect storm of value. Collectors know that missing even one small detail could mean the difference between owning $1 million coin and an ordinary quarter. Dealers whisper about it at conventions. Auctions dedicate entire segments just to showcase it. One man's discovery has become a legend in coin circles, a reminder that sometimes life-changing fortune hides in the smallest of things. Some collectors even say that the 2001 North Dakota quarter carries almost a mystical aura. Owning it isn't just about the money. It's about being part of an exclusive club, a handful of people in the entire country who can say, "I have one." And for those lucky enough to find it, it's not just a coin. It's a story, a memory, a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. First, examine the mint mark carefully. The Denver mark is critical, and its placement can reveal whether the coin carries the rare error. Next, check for subtle differences in the design, tiny misalignments, doubled edges, and unusual die marks. These are the indicators that make this coin stand out from millions of ordinary quarters. Common mistakes can be costly. Some collectors think they have the coin, only to find it's a perfectly normal 2001 North Dakota quarter. That's why careful examination and expert verification are key. Grading services can authenticate the coin and confirm its status as a potential million-dollar treasure. One wrong move, and you could miss your chance to own a piece of history. But the magic of this coin is more than just the numbers. It's about the story. Imagine discovering a quarter hidden in a jar, in circulation for decades, and realizing it could change your life. The rush, the disbelief, the realization that something so ordinary could hold extraordinary value. That's what makes the 2001 North Dakota quarter so unforgettable. Every collector dreams of that moment. The one coin that turns a hobby into a fortune. And this coin proves it can happen to anyone. The right coin in the right hands at the right time can turn pocket change into a story worth millions. So, if you're searching through your change, take a closer look at your 2001 quarters. Study the details, check the mint mark, compare edges, and pay attention to every tiny anomaly. This exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Don't let it slip through your fingers. Dealers are paying top dollar, collectors are on the hunt, and history is waiting to repeat itself. This is your chance to uncover a secret, a treasure, a coin that can transform a lifetime. The 2001 North Dakota quarter is more than just money. It's a legend. It's a miracle, and it could be yours. Imagine finding a quarter in your pocket, thinking it's just another coin from the grocery store, and then discovering it's a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. That's exactly what happened with the 1985 Washington quarter, a coin that now commands jaw-dropping prices and has collectors scrambling to find it. It all started in a small town in Ohio. A man was cleaning out an old box of change when his eyes fell on a dull, ordinary quarter. Most people would have dropped it back into their loose change, but something about this coin caught his attention. The design looked normal, but there was a tiny irregularity, a small, almost invisible detail that could easily be overlooked. That tiny flaw would later make this coin one of the most sought-after Washington quarters ever minted. Collectors were shocked when the coin appeared at auction. What should have been a standard quarter suddenly sold for tens of thousands, and as more experts examined it, whispers began circulating. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on similar coins, hoping to uncover the exact minting error that turned this seemingly ordinary 1985 D quarter into a million-dollar miracle. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A single detail, almost invisible to the untrained eye, set this quarter apart. It wasn't just the mint mark. It was a subtle doubling of the letters and numbers, a minting mistake that only appears on a tiny fraction of 1985 D coins. One man's casual pocket change had turned into a gold mine. Stories of discovery flooded the coin community. One collector in Texas found a roll of quarters at a yard sale. Inside, he noticed one coin had a slight shift in its design. He held it up to the light and felt a chill. This was it. Experts later confirmed it. His quarter was from the same rare batch, potentially worth over $1 million. That roll of change was the difference between a simple Saturday morning and a life-changing fortune. Most people don't realize how easily these coins can hide in plain sight. Your own change jar, your glove compartment, even coins passed down from a grandparent could be hiding a 1985 D Washington quarter with this exact minting anomaly. But it takes a trained eye, patience, and a little bit of luck to spot it. What makes this coin truly extraordinary is how rare it is. Millions of quarters were minted in 1985, but only a handful carry this specific mint mark doubling and error that makes collectors go wild. Dealers have been known to pay life-changing sums for just one, and the competition is fierce. One coin can make someone's entire year, or even their life. You might think spotting it is impossible, but there's a method. Start by examining the mint mark on the coin. Look closely for any doubling, any unevenness in the letters or numbers. Compare it to a normal 1985 D quarter. That tiny difference is what separates a worthless coin from a million-dollar treasure. Some coins might even show subtle shifts in the ridge patterns around the edge. Another clue to this rare error. Collectors share stories of sleepless nights spent poring over rolls of quarters at banks, local shops, and flea markets. The thrill of the hunt is part of the magic. And it's not just about money. It's about discovery, about uncovering a piece of history that was nearly lost forever. That's why this coin has captivated the coin community for decades. Most people don't even realize what they have. Ordinary Americans are unknowingly holding potential fortunes in their pocket change. One man's garage sale purchase turned into a story featured in national auctions, selling for sums that would make anyone's jaw drop. The coin's fame grew, and so did its value, now peaking at a staggering $1.50 million. Every auction adds another layer to the legend. Collectors share photos of coins under magnification, highlighting the subtle doubling and mint anomalies. Experts debate the origin of these errors, some tracing it back to a brief mishap at the Denver Mint. Others speculate about overlooked production flaws that could have affected just a few thousand coins. Whatever the truth, one thing is clear. These quarters are priceless to those who know what to look for, and the emotional weight of discovery is undeniable. Imagine holding a coin in your hand, knowing it has the power to change your life. The anticipation, the rush of verification, the joy when the experts confirm it. It's addictive. Many collectors have shared tears of disbelief when they realized the coin they casually picked from change was actually worth millions. Inspect every 1985 D Washington quarter you come across. Focus on the mint mark, the lettering, and any unusual doubling. Use a magnifying glass, compare to standard coins, and if something looks off, don't ignore it. Every tiny detail counts. Dealers have paid handsomely for coins with even the smallest identifiable anomaly. This is why the 1985 D Washington quarter is more than just a coin. It's a symbol of luck, timing, and sharp eyes. It represents the dream of ordinary Americans stumbling upon life-changing wealth hidden in plain sight. The stories of discovery inspire collectors to search relentlessly, and each new find becomes a legend in its own right. Imagine checking your drawer, your old coin albums, or even your car's cup holder, and finding a quarter that could turn your world upside down. That's the reality for some lucky collectors, and it could happen to you. The value is real. The market has proven it time and time again. Coins with the specific minting error can sell for extraordinary sums, and dealers are willing to pay life-altering amounts to secure one. The thrill is in the hunt, and the reward is unimaginable. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. A simple minting error, a subtle doubling on a seemingly ordinary quarter, can change an entire life. One man's pocket change became a million-dollar miracle, and that miracle is waiting to be discovered again. So, if you have a stack of 1985 D quarters lying around, take a closer look. Study the mint mark, examine the lettering, and don't ignore anything that seems slightly off. The difference between a common coin and a million-dollar treasure is microscopic, but it's there. This exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, waiting to be discovered. One small decision, one careful inspection, could turn ordinary pocket change into over $1 million. The 1985 D. Washington quarter isn't just a coin. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, a hidden fortune, and a story that could soon be yours.